South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem reportedly being looked at for Secretary of Homeland Security. And again, this is about loyalty, which for some reason the left finds perplexing over at big media.
The second Trump White House taking shape as Donald Trump picks more cabinet members and other high-ranking officials. The president-elect making these decisions with one key trait at top of mind.
Loyal. We could use some more loyalty, I will tell you that. I love loyalty.
People in politics can be very disloyal. I've never seen anything like it.
All right, let's bring in former governor and presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Governor, a pleasure to see you. You know, he's moving quickly, and a lot of names. We've also put up there Lee Zeldin, Tom Homan. Your reaction to Donald Trump's choices here? We know he's moving quickly because there's a lot of work to do. And why is loyalty a bad thing? It's not.
I can't imagine that you would put people in that hate your guts and that are going to try to betray you at every turn. That didn't work out real well when he picked some people who had no real connection to him. 8 years ago, it was a different deal. And he was persuaded to pick some people, not who really wanted to serve with Donald Trump. They wanted to serve themselves. Some of them because they wanted to be elected later on. Some of them because they just wanted to be a somebody. But they had no concept of buying in on the policies. Bianca, let's be real clear. Only one person got elected last week. One person. His name is Donald J. Trump. He's the president. He needs to pick people. He must pick people who understand what America first and making America great again is all about. And so I think he's picking some real all-stars. I'm thrilled to death with the folks he's getting because they're going to go in and they are shoulder to shoulder with the president in bringing about what people voted for last week. And that's ultimately the issue. This is what people voted to do.
That's right. He has a mandate and he has a trifecta. It'll be interesting to see what he does on day one. There's all this talk about RFK Jr. And obviously he's nothing like Health and Human Service Secretary, currently Rachel Levine. So will they tackle the transgender? That's another thing the left, of course, is going wild at, saying Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Will Trump let him go wild? That's one of the headlines. Also, the Department of Education. I mean, we know what Randy Weingarten and the teachers union is all about. So there's a lot of things there. I'd love to get your take on that. And also, of course, Senate leadership to replace Mitch McConnell. There's a lot of folks hoping, like Elon, that it is Tim Scott of Florida.
Well, on the Department of Education, that happened under Jimmy Carter. Every president since Ronald Reagan has said they're going to get rid of it, at least every Republican president. No one ever has. Look for Donald Trump to actually pull it off. And here's the thing. The people that are foaming at the mouth and saying, oh, my gosh, what'll happen to education? I'll tell you what'll happen. It'll go back to where it should have been and where it was until the late 70s. The states run education. It is not a federal issue. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the federal government ought to run education. It ought to be run by the 50 states. People ought to read the 10th Amendment. It might be an eye-opener for them. Let that money, instead of going through the bureaucracy of a federal Department of Education, let that money go back to the classrooms in local communities where school boards, duly elected by their communities, can run the education programs. That's what will happen. It's what should have happened 40 years ago. It's time for it to happen now.
Yeah, Trump will be tomorrow meeting with Biden at the White House, Speaker Johnson as well. Be interesting to see how that meeting goes and what we hear about the post-Biden meeting. Any thoughts on that, Governor?
Yeah, I want to commend President Biden for going ahead and pushing for this meeting and saying, let's have an orderly transition. That's a good thing. What I think is kind of funny, though, Biden has been telling everybody that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, a Nazi, his supporters were garbage. Suddenly, Trump's welcome to come to the White House and have a meeting with Joe Biden. So I guess Joe's okay with Nazis. He's okay with garbage. He's okay with un-American threats to democracy. So we know all along that that was nonsense and it was a bunch of lies that were being told. But I think to validate it in this way is good. But in all fairness, I am glad that President Biden has invited President Trump. They'll have a nice meeting. I don't think they're going to play golf together. I doubt they're going to be buddies and have a weekly phone call. But this is the way it's supposed to be done. It may be a little tense, but I can tell you, having been around Donald Trump,